Riding high on clouds of sound, spinning fast, we're lost and found, chasing dreams that never fade. In this rush, we've got it made. Turn it up, don't hit the brakes. Feel the beat until day breaks. Pulses racing, hearts on fire. In this moment, we'll go higher.
Welcome to AiTAINMENT Season 2 with Bessie Mink and BK Han. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification.
Riding high on clouds of sound, spinning fast, we're lost and found, chasing dreams that never fade. In this rush, we've got it made. Turn it up, don't hit the brakes. Feel the beat until day breaks. Pulses racing, hearts on fire. In this moment, we'll go higher.
Siri was launched in his home. That was the first consumer app that had AI inside of it. He's launched hundreds of companies in his career. Elon Musk gave him the first ride in the first Tesla. Mercedes-Benz gave him its first ride in its autonomous vehicle. In his career, he has written 6 books that properly predicted decade-long changes in the tech industry. Qualcomm's head of augmented and virtual reality wrote one of those, The Infinite Retina. It was a must-read. All that started when he was a strategist at Microsoft Corporation, during which The Economist magazine wrote that he had humanized Microsoft. Since then, he's the only human to completely map out the AI industry on x.com at x.com/Scobleizer/lists, and is followed by most of the influencers in the AI industry. He continues to be the first to launch interesting AI and robotics companies. He has the ear of industry leaders including Elon Musk, Marc Benioff, and many others who follow him on X, where he's the only human to follow 70,000 in the AI space, and tells his followers what he is seeing happen in the AI space in real time. And now Scoble is doing a weekly video show where we see a new AI company and entrepreneur each week. It's a great place for you to get your company seen by many. Scoble's strength is that he has interviewed thousands of entrepreneurs and is following more than 9,000 on x.com alone, with thousands of other connections on LinkedIn. This gives him the ability to see things other people don't, and his insights are followed by many, 500,000 on X alone. He shares those insights in a weekly newsletter done with the amazing Irina Cronin, books on social media, and coming soon, a separate video series where he shares insights about what's happening today in the AI industry. Let's talk about some 2024 firsts. First, to interview Rabbit's CEO who owned CES, which is an unaligned client. First, to reveal Electric Sheep's new robot. First, to reveal K-Scale's new robot. First, to reveal Cortical Labs, human neurons used as a computer, new chip architecture. First, to reveal Lumafield's AI-driven CAT scan machine for manufacturing lines. First patient to use and reveal AI in mental health therapy with Palo Alto Clinic. First to reveal brain-computer interface company InnerCosmos. First to use term Metaverse 2.0 to denote a major new wave of spatial computing. First to reveal InnerCosmos, a brain-computer interface company. First to completely map out AI industry on x.com, including 4,000 AI companies and thousands of entrepreneurs, groups, media outlets, investors, influencers, and more. Will your company be the next first? Join Robert Scoble's My Unaligned videos, as they are on YouTube at youtube.com/@unaligned_AI, and on Spotify at podcasters.spotify.com/pod/show/unaligned with Robert Scoble. Robert, welcome to AiTAINMENT.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What is going on? We've got a legend in the house today. Robert Scoble's here with us for episode 1 of season 2 of AiTAINMENT. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Welcome to AiTAINMENT. Robert Scoble, how are you today?
Doing great. What's going on?
Good to see you. You've been around the world just in the past since you were on the show. Of course, the latest, which I caught on my big fat television, 1010 on the Warner Brother lot for We Robot. Could you just like, what is, I mean,
I got all the robot thing. I got the hat from the show. I got the 1X Tech humanoid robot shirt, from that company. So.
I was so like freaking out, dancing in my front room. My family was like, what's going on? What's going on? If they only knew robots are taking over the world and they're going to make it better. I truly believe that.
Yeah, thank you. It's what Tesla laid out last week was a master plan for the next decade. And instead of doing it as a white paper, they rented Warner Brothers studio backlot and showed us what the future would feel like if it got built, right? There was all these cars rolling around without humans in it, and there was humanoid robots walking around and all that stuff.
You were in the first Tesla with Elon Musk himself.
I sure was, yeah. Back in the Roadster, serial model number 1. He gave me the first ride before he gave his best friend a ride because we were racing his best friend.
Okay, so that's how that happened. I was going to ask you, like, what led to that? You, as well as he, if I could be so bold as to say, you move in the moment. You do things in real time. I mean, do you plan much, Robert, these days?
I try to have an interview with an entrepreneur every day.
Yeah.
I've been a little lazy this summer about that, but I'm starting the show back up. I got 5 interviews to get up today myself, or sometime the next week. So.
I mean, yeah, you need to rest sometimes. I know you've done so much. I really have a question about the humanizing Microsoft aspect of your bio. I just want to know. I want you to just share with our audience, like.
All right, so I had a famous blog in Silicon Valley for a long time, and that's why I launched so many companies. This was before TechCrunch, before Product Hunt, before Angel List, before any of the places that launch companies today. So I started this blog up in 2000, and that led to a job at Microsoft. And I was a public figure on behalf of Microsoft. So I used my blog to show people what Microsoft was like inside. And then I was joined a little team that built a thing called Channel 9 back in the day.
Wow.
And they gave me a little $250 camera, and I went around and interviewed 600 employees, from Bill Gates to the janitor at Microsoft. And that's why the Economist magazine wrote a whole page on me, because I had, changed how people looked at Microsoft because of that.
Yeah, because people talk a lot of smack about what they don't know. And I'm just really glad that there are people who you have to have a lot of tolerance and of course, education in what it is that you're pursuing to even be.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who think they know things and they run their mouth.
Exactly.
And that's the billionaires.
Well, if they can't, then who can?
I've had rooms of billionaires telling, or very wealthy people telling me that I'm wrong, and it turns out they're wrong. So it's something I've learned is nobody really knows anything about the future.
It's happening in real time. Like there just was, but it's now the past. So let's talk about these interviews that you have coming up. Are you able to share about who you're going to be speaking with?
I've made a map of 5,600 AI companies on X, right? And so I'm just trying to get to some of the interesting ones. I have a project management tool. So you just prompt and say, I'd like to build a house, and it just starts filling in your plan automatically. Because it knows how to build a house already, at least at some level, and it'd get you started at least probably 90% of the way there, right? And
that's incredible. I know home builders. I wonder how they're going to feel about that. They're going to have to learn how to use it, because it can ultimately, their artistic prompt, essentially, for the large language model will allow them to create something that no one else is creating, unless they don't take advantage of the AI tools. What is that?
Well, it just is so much faster. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if you wanted to do that by hand, you'd have to figure out like a mind mapping tool and draw little boxes and then go, okay, what do I need to do to build a house? Oh, I need a foundation. I need a concrete guy. I need you know, oh, well, first I need an architect, right? To design the house, right? So, and then I would have to do that and fill it all in. And it'd take a week. This thing does it in seconds, and it does it automatically. You don't do anything. You just say, I want to build a house, and it goes, okay, you need an architect, you need a guy to build the foundation, you need a guy to build the framing, or a team.
It's going to pop it all out. It's printing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Printing is it true though? It's printing what it needs.
Yeah, it puts it on your screen. Yeah.
But I'm saying the machines, the 3D building machines, I mean, eventually it's going to be like, bam, you need this.
Okay, this tool just does project management.
Right.
If you're actually building something with it, yeah, there's other tools. I haven't seen a really amazing 3D printer tool for AI yet, but you know.
Listen up, guys. Get to work out there if you're listening today. I wanted to shout out our sponsors really quick and thank everybody for viewing today. We're really happy that you're here. This is a gentleman who I got to know on X in Adrian Dittman's space. Shout out to Adrian Dittman and his conversation every day that he has on X with so many amazing people right on the edge, on the cusp, on the forefront. They're flying. Let's go. Robert, I really want to talk about the psychology of tech adoption. How do you think the psychological barriers to adopting deeply invasive tech like brain-computer interfaces will be overcome? Redefine what we consider invasive.
Oh man, that's a tough one. You know, first of all, let's say you have a spinal injury and you can't walk. You're going to sign up for this immediately because it's going to greatly improve your life. All right, now that's somebody like who has a spinal injury or something like that.
And there've been two, right?
Yeah. Neuralink.
Neuralink. There. Where's the link? Where's the link? There is, of course, some danger in that kind of operation as well, which people have to be prepared for.
That's for the niche, you know, to get it started. And technology often starts like this with a few nerds, a few innovators, a few rebels, right? Even snowboarding, get it out of technology, right? Started with a few kids doing weird shit in the mountains, right? With a weird device on their foot, right? Yeah. Now it's an Olympic sport, so it went mainstream, right? But 30, 40 years ago, back in the early 80s or late 70s,
frowned upon.
It was only a few people who did that, right? Everybody else was a skier. In fact, they were banned off of Lake Tahoe ski resorts, right?
Crazy. That's crazy.
Because those rebels, man, that's weird. We're not.
Yeah, you're supposed to ski. You're supposed to ski on 2 skis. What are those? That's blasphemous.
And so, yeah, I mean, you know, and everybody resists change. Everybody, literally everybody. I've talked to Gary Vaynerchuk and I used to give keynotes together back in the early days of Facebook, and we'd be talking to 1,000 people, explaining what Facebook is, right? And
Gary V.
And then we would ask them, "Are you going to use it?" And not a hand would go up. Right? You know, it's like, no, we're not ready for this yet.
When are they going to be ready? When it's too late? When there's something else?
You know, now everybody's on it. You know, everybody got on. It's not that's what adoption does. I don't know. How do you get people to change?
You have to change. You do it. Somebody else.
They can do it. Yeah, and that's why I do what I do. Is like I'm trying to figure it all out and then share it with people. It takes time, right? It takes time for you to see the value of a new idea, a new thing. and you might need to hear it 100 times before it sticks in, right? How many people are still resisting AI right now using, have you ever been on Chat GPT and really talked to it?
Yes.
There's a whole, even in my family, there's people who have never tried it.
I
It's
want to just shout out BK Han, of course, the co-creator of this show out of Singapore, because Metaverse Generation is his team. And if it weren't for BK Han, I don't think I would have jumped on ChatGPT before most people knew about it. And I think that I just want to thank you, BK, because even loneliness has a cure. If there's if there's someone listening to you, let's say you want to speak to your AI, like Robert just said, or Grok. Of course, now I'm all about Grok because I'm on X all the time, and Grok is just amazing. And even with images so quickly now with the beta 2, and I just wondering, what is it not going to be able to do? Like, what does beta 3 look like? I'm just really excited about the evolution of Grok.
Yeah, I want much more integration. Like, I want to be able to say unfollow somebody and have it do that, right?
Yeah.
It's not integrated deeply into X yet. That'll probably happen next year, but the model.
You could say unfollow everyone that's ever slandered or questioned if I'm, and then it would know. Wouldn't that
No,
be
those
cool?
people actually get you more hits, right?
Oh, okay, I hear you.
Haters are a necessary precondition of life.
I keep hearing that. I keep hearing that. So
I do want to remove people who haven't been on X for a year, right? Something like that, right? Hey, Grok, remove everybody, unfollow everybody who hasn't posted in a year. The more people you follow, it changes the algorithm, right?
I think it's 60-40. I think I learned in
you want a smaller number if possible to focus it, and also you just don't want a big number. I started with 80,000 people I was following a year ago, and I cleaned up and went down to about 23,000, something like that.
Didn't it feel good? It felt good, didn't it?
Yeah, because you clean up your social graph, and all of a sudden your feed gets way better, right?
Yeah. Also, turning it off, just deleting the app, also resets it as well.
That's a different solution to a different problem.
Well, tell me what it is.
Addicted to social media, get rid of your apps.
I straight up was like, I'm not going to even have X or anything else anymore because somebody upset me because they were very adamant about their point of view. And I took it personally. You get triggered on these audio apps, but you're supposed to. That's what they're for. You're supposed to grow and learn, become.
No, that's how they addict you. It's trigger you. Then you're all riled up and you're like planning a big long post. I hate you too.
Yeah, I try not to do those kind of posts. I don't think I ever put anything inflammatory against anybody. I'm pretty I mean, today it got a little political in the music space, when I mentioned something. But I mean, last night there was an amazing space in Gen X's space, Songs for America, which was really cool. She had some really great people there and lots of people sharing music and stuff about what it feels like to be an American. And so I have a question about, when you were a kid, I know that your mom worked on the motherboards for Apple.
Yeah, she worked for a woman named Hildy Licht, who still runs a contract manufacturing business here in Silicon Valley. And she would get jobs from various manufacturers who needed more shit made and couldn't get a factory to do it. And she hired a bunch of housewives in Silicon Valley, and my mom was one of the housewives.
I love that story so much. I want to write a song about it.
It's what I mean. It gave me many gifts. So this was 1978.
You said, I'm quoting you here. You said that you were, you were the first child laborer for Apple. I mean,
yeah, that's pretty cool. But even better, so she taught me to solder on those motherboards. That turned into an early job at Hewlett Packard, working on a manufacturing line, running a soldering machine. Right? which by the way, we talk about AI is going to kill jobs. Well, the soldering machine did in 20 seconds what my mom would take half an hour to do.
Good point. Kind of like the elevator, right? The elevator example.
I was like, I like this machine. It solders a whole motherboard in 20 seconds.
Nothing like having powerful tools in your hand to change time and space with. Okay, so wait,
but hold on.
Okay.
So because I worked on those motherboards, that got me to fall in love with new things. Because back then there was nothing like that. That was science fiction. When you see a motherboard like that, there was no computers back then. Only big corporations had computers. Nobody had one in their home. A lot of people still had black and white TVs in their house back then, and a rotary telephone. We didn't have iPhones or anything like that, right? Yeah. So I fell in love with this motherboard, and my dad bought an Apple II, and so I knew what it was, what it was the inside of, and it was just so beautiful. And then later at a community college, I saw a car with the word "was" on the license plate. Well, I knew who was because I built his motherboards, and so I stalked him and got an interview with him. And
was W-A-Z, correct?
W-O-Z.
W-O-Z. So now Wozniak, yes. Yeah. So that was the creator of the computer, correct?
Yeah, yeah. He's the last human being to have an entire computer in his head. He knew every chip, every innard of every chip on that motherboard. And yeah, he's a real smart guy.
That's incredible. An old music partner of mine who actually passed, Chris Anthem Wozniak. I think Wozniak is a cousin of his, but Cronin is Chris's last name. But it's interesting because there's a connection. Irina Cronin. These last names here. Tell me about your partner. You wrote a book together, didn't you write a book?
Two or three. We're working on third now. So.
Everybody, just please. You can see at the bottom there. Find the legendary Robert Scoble at Scobleizer on X. Of course, he has his website unaligned.com. Correct. .io. Now tell me about the .io for those that are like, well, what's .io compared?
It's just a way to get a damn domain because it's impossible to get a domain, unless you want to pay for it and a lot of money, to get a one-word domain like that. .com is impossible. So yeah, we had to go for .io, and yeah, it's cool.
I mean, you've written 6 books.
You've written 6 I've written books. 7, I think now.
Oh, 7. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. It's crazy. And each predicted decade-long change in technology.
How do you do it, Robert?
Well, back then I worked at Microsoft, and they were flying me around the world, and I had a famous blog. So I wrote the first one about corporate blogging, right? And using social media on behalf of a company. And that was pretty interesting. And that was before Facebook came out, right?
Do you use Facebook?
I do here and there.
When people talk about it,
I used to be a very heavy user of Facebook. Lately, I've been putting a lot more effort into X.
Yeah, so. Me too. I really love, I don't know. I love them all because my family's mainly on Facebook, and that's where they chill. And that's where you find out kind of like the familial things. But as far as the future is concerned and what's going on before you know that it's going on and the rest of the world knows it's going on, X is the place to be. Yeah. I mean, it really is. I met you. I met Asia. I've met so many people. Yvonne, Alex Utopia,
I mean, I can't show you the screen, but I have a screen with, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 columns. Each column is a list, and it just automatically refreshes. So I can watch one screen and see the whole world go by, basically. Right. And that's a huge advantage over Facebook or LinkedIn.
Yeah. It has an amazing desktop. What do you call that? The motherboard. It's the motherboard of X. I mean, you pretty much can control,
Yeah. When I was at San Jose State as a journalism student, I ran the Associated Press wire machine for the newspaper there.
Oh my goodness.
Newspaper. And I always wanted my own AP wire machine, and now I have it. Yes. Like, this is far better than what that was back then, right?
All these companies have relied on you and what you know and what you gather and what you observe. I mean, I really feel that you've kind of been there hand in hand.
It was a bigger deal. I mean, that was true statement for about a decade, in the 2000s, because I had the first link to TechCrunch. There was no place to talk about new companies, really, right? And the CNETs and the old school media just were slow and didn't put any passion into it, right? Mm-hmm. And And they didn't cover a lot of the smaller little companies that came out of Silicon Valley back in the day. Right.
It's so important to be acknowledged. I'm just really, really grateful to know you and to have met you, Robert. I really respect you and what you've done. I know that you're a dad.
I've had a cool life, you know.
You have a great family who loves you. You have people who really respect what you do.
Sometimes.
What do you mean, your family?
But I have teenagers. They're quite surly sometimes.
I have a couple teenagers too.
Try to get them out of bed. You know, they don't like you so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe you're gonna have to try something new. Let's think about that. Breakfast in bed, pancakes, whipped cream, strawberries, Mozart. I would go in there with like a speaker, like, you know, like Vivaldi Four Seasons. Although sometimes my kids say, "Don't play that."
Put on some hip hop.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get to Ozzy Osbourne then, if we're gonna do it. Just bring on War Pigs.
Yeah, some metal. I got. So one of my little hobbies is to collect spatial audio because I'm into surround sound. That's something I'm into. Cool. And I have 100,000 tracks on my playlist on Apple Music, all kinds of music. So I got heavy metal, I got hip hop, I got classical, I got whatever I want to listen to. But if you want to get kids out of bed in the morning, you know, some heavy metal might work.
Yes. Let's talk about decentralized tech communities. Given your experience with centralized tech hubs like Silicon Valley, how do you see the rise of decentralized global tech communities affecting innovation and startup culture?
Well, I have a video coming up this week with a guy who's started a company in Vietnam, and his company is really crazy. He built a whole bunch of AI agents. It goes out to the web. It's a software company, so they make websites and stuff like that. Yeah, it goes out to the web, looks for new trend data or new customer feedback, like, oh, I wish I had a website that did this or something like that. Takes that data, designs a new feature, codes it, checks it into production, does QA on it, and then pushes it up to the web. All without human beings. and so that's coming out of Vietnam, you know, right?
When is this? So people can catch it live, or are these pre-recorded?
No, these are pre-recorded. I've done interviews.
So unaligned.io, they can find out all about it and sign up to your newsletter, right? Let me just
I'm going to put up a bunch of these different kinds of companies. I just interview people over time and keep putting up videos.
What is the biggest
30 interviews up there already? So
what is the biggest hurdle? I'm just going to put that down here so people can see it. The biggest hurdle for interviews, like getting people comfortable and stuff. I'm just wondering.
Getting higher production value, you know, because a lot of people have a dirty lens and it's foggy, or they don't they don't put themselves at the right place in the video screen, right? They're down here, you know.
Well, can you tell me how I'm doing here? I know
you're looking good. You have a professional microphone. You have a professional, you know, you have a nice set or a nice house.
I'm digging what you have going on. I'm always the last time I was like, I want that. Whatever you got, I want it.
You know, and that takes a little bit of effort. We painted the wall and put up a light and and bought a nice camera and a decent microphone.
Speaking of cameras and headsets and living in the VR world, could you tell me what's going on? Because last time, what is it called? I cannot.
Vision Pro.
There we go. So when you were at the 1010 event, We Robot, did you have that on?
No, I thought about bringing it, but I was on vacation with my family. I didn't want to get it ripped off and you know have to deal with that. Plus, I got a brand new iPhone. Nice. And that takes really good video. So that's what I was shooting on was my iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Hey, if you want to send me anything that you shot that I could, no,
I posted it all.
You did already. Okay.
Yeah, I posted everything that I
Robovan. I was like, what? Well,
you have ADHD, didn't you? We haven't even finished on talking about VR yet.
I know. I don't know what I have. I've got a case
but someday
of
we're going to be doing VR in the Robovan. Fuck
Let's
it.
go.
Elon is not going to mess with my brain.
But, can I bring my guitar? I just want to bring my guitar. So the Robovan's going to have the interstellar Neuralink, basically, that's going to be able to penetrate the minds inside. You're going to like be able to like read people's minds.
No, it's just a self-driving bus, basically.
I like how he put the accent on Robovan, because I was like, what is he talking about? And then I saw this like creeping, beautiful silver, like this, like it looked like a snail kind of like rolling up, like an old train.
It'll be how a billionaire shows off at South by Southwest. You'll get invites to the Robovan rolling around Austin, Texas, right?
With Violetta Zeroni sitting there playing beautiful songs.
Yeah. Once you get the Robovan, then you got to put people in it and fun and bar. Tony Hsieh took me around South by in his RV, right? It's the same idea, and he had a school bus that he dressed up as. He had a bar in it, and he had a whole bunch of his friends, and we were just being crazy people on 6th Street going, wah!
Yes. I've been to South by one time. It was so fun with organic music.
25 times.
Oh my gosh! Well, I want to go. Let's make that happen. I want to go. So Violetta Zeroni, I just wanted to quickly shout out.
I'll drive the Robovan.
I hear you don't need a driver.
No, but you need somebody to take a charge,
Yes, I trust you with that. Violetta Zeroni, she auctioned one of her songs called "No Ordinary Kind." I don't know if you know this, but it sold for 1 Bitcoin.
Wow.
One song with 1 Bitcoin.
Did she keep the Bitcoin? Or did she turn it in?
I don't know. I have not.
Did she turn it in for a pizza like somebody did?
I don't know what she did with the Bitcoin. All I know is she's amazing. She was on a plane for a Singapore convention called Token 2024, spoke at Token 24 in Singapore. It was called Redacted. I think that was the plane with like 300 people. She did a live concert there.
Yeah.
She was in Split, Croatia, playing for the Vibes Web3 Music Festival. So about Web3 music artists. I just wanted to shout her out because isn't that a huge accomplishment? 1 Bitcoin for 1 song. I mean, like, what is up with that? That's
back
amazing.
in the day. That wasn't much money. Now it's 64 grand.
Right. It's 67. I think. Is
it now 67?
That's what somebody said in the space.
I've been busy the last couple of days.
So stacking Bitcoin. You guys stack your Bitcoin. Not financial advice, but just put it there and don't touch it. Hey, what do you think about the future of personalized AR experiences? I mean, we were just kind of talking about that with the Robovan. So
So the Vision Pro, I should go get it, but the Vision Pro is too heavy, right? I would highly recommend everybody go to the Apple Store and get the demo, because once you put it on, it's like, whoa, this is really amazing. Yeah. And getting the demo is worth it. But it's too heavy, right? So there's going to be 3 new categories of headset things. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a heavier one, lighter.
A heavier one.
Well, a device that covers your eyes,
right?
Okay, and is still something significant on your face. They have to do that if you want 4K and you want wraparound screens, right? Mm-hmm. In other words, you want a big field of view. Yeah. Some of the VR headsets now have a field of view of 140 degrees, which means you can't see the edges when you're in a simulator or something like that, or a game. Mm-hmm. And that gives you maximum immersion. But it needs a little bit bigger, heavier device. You're not going to wear that to the shopping mall. Right. It's like a Quest 3 from Meta or Apple Vision Pro from Apple. Mm-hmm. Then there'll be a new device like Meta's Orion. They showed off a pair of glasses that has holographic lenses that does full mixed reality on top of the world. Wow. It's really, really cool. And that needs to be jacked into a computing puck, or Apple will jack it into their phone eventually. And then there'll be a third kind of device, which is a much lighter weight device that might not do full mixed reality, just a heads up display, i.e. Your wife is calling and it shows you, or you need navigation around some city. It'll show you take a right, take a left, that kind of thing. Cool. Stuff like Google Glass used to do, but with a better screen. great for watching TV while you're sitting in a bus or something like that.
Yes, absolutely. Anything to save time. I think time is the one thing
Well,
that
it's not just time. We're all addicted to these things.
yeah,
But these things are
exactly.
small, 6-inch screens. When you're wearing a pair of glasses, the screen is the entire world,
Yeah.
right?
You
It's a
mentioned
much better experience and much bigger screen. Certainly, if you're watching a movie, you take your Vision Pro, on a trip. Your movie screen is as big as the entire plane, where everybody else is watching a small little
mhm.
screen in the seat back in front of them.
And what about the eye? What about eyes? People being concerned about their vision and it being like, what do you think about all that? Is there
It'll
any like,
fix your eyes too, so
yeah,
I'm not
it'll
too
fix
worried
your
about
eyes too, for real? Tell me more
Yeah,
about that because I have had
yeah. I
LASIK
went down to
surgery.
South Africa and met with an eye doctor, Cheryl Lee Calder. She runs igym.com, and she works with professional athletes with their eyes. And she has a computer program, a computer screen. You got to look at the screen to fix your
Yeah.
eyes, and her software fixes your eyes.
Are you? I mean, how's that possible? And why
It
aren't
exercises your perception system.
there we go?
Her app exercises your brain and
iGym,
your eyes.
EYEYEGYM.com or .io.
The way I found her, I had dinner with the guy who owns the South African cycling team, and he said her app, her system took his worst rider in terms of falls per ride, and after 6 months of using her app, he was the best rider on the team in terms of falls per ride.
Oh my God.
She fixed his eyes
So is this like a
with a computer
subscription?
screen.
Is it, but I mean, you can just look at a computer screen. You don't have to wear Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah, she's building something for the Vision Pro because if you exercise it with a bigger screen, you get more exercise, right? If you're exercising your eyes with a small screen, you don't get much exercise for your eyes.
That's
Right?
incredible. That's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. And not only that, they can actually measure and memorize the way the eye works and whatever it is that it's connected to the neural function of it. Correct?
Yeah, she runs you a test because you have to use your eyes and memorize things on the screen while they're moving around. She tests your perception system and gives you a report for your first lesson.
You mentioned this months ago, and I think I went there, but I never went through the actual process. I'm absolutely going to do that.
Me
Robert,
neither. I mean, I know this. I've done a few of the lessons, and
yeah.
they're pretty interesting, but they're 10 minutes a day, and
Right.
I don't exercise on my treadmill either. So,
Well, what are you doing? What are you doing all the time?
talking to people.
Okay,
Running my mouth.
so who in your
My
mouth?
mouth is in tune.
There's a really great thing. Your mouth is in tune. I'm going to get my guitar and sing you a song right here.
All right.
Your mouth is in tune because when you speak, people listen. In fact, I've heard you just take the room on X and Adrian Spaces just to new heights, where they're inspired. You mentioned just before about, businesses not moving quick enough, not being passionate, and therefore being kind of, you can pass them by, but you're actually on the edge, the companies. Who would you say are the top 5 AI companies right now, would you say?
OpenAI, right? And which makes ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting question because it depends how you define interesting company, right? Is it the biggest team?
So I think
Google has the biggest team. Google has the most data, so Google should be dominating everything. Right. But Google's stuck in bureaucracy hell because that's what happens.
Isn't there AI to fix that? Couldn't somebody create an AI to fix that bureaucratic hell?
Get rid of committees.
Yeah,
I hate committees. After working at Microsoft, I learned I hate committees because that's what destroys companies.
So how can companies turn around with the committees that they have?
They have to get rid of the committees.
There's nothing else. There's no other solution. They have to dissolve it and do what?
Well, okay. So now we're into Innovator's Dilemma, right? Clay Christensen's book talked about why big companies sometimes go away, right? Like Eastman Kodak, they invented the digital camera. They had it in their house, but they didn't know how to make use of it because they were run by chemical engineers. And so the only way to change that kind of company is to fire everybody, truth be told. And you're not gonna do that. Here's the real problem. The existing customer is a noose around your neck, and they were selling film and paper and, all sorts of devices for film people, right? People who made who took film photography.
Yeah.
Well, digital comes along and they just couldn't change because they just couldn't change. They just couldn't change their business that deeply because they had so many customers. I mean, I sold millions of dollars worth of Kodak stuff in my camera store.
The onboarding is horrendous when the tech comes and says, I'm going to take you somewhere else. How do you, how can a company, I mean, we talked about, Salesforce subject matter experts and such before the show, just regards to customer relations and how you build. So if you know your company's going to go like haywire through AI, who do you use to help you quantify that, that big jump? That you don't lose your shorts, if you will, because you didn't realize the growth potential.
The way Clay Christensen laid it out, you have to spin out a new company and do it with a new company separate from your existing company, because that new company can find its own customer and its own reason for being, and innovate without going to a bunch of committee meetings. At Microsoft, we call these strategy taxes, right? So, you got to put a sticker on the back of the thing because why? Because we have a deal with a company to put a sticker on it, right? It's, or worse. Let's say we had a time machine. We went back to 2005 and said, "Hey, Steve Ballmer, we have some news from the future. You're going to lose on tablet PCs because some guy named Steve Jobs is going to come out with a tablet and do away with you. But we can save it right now. We got to get rid of Windows." Well, he would have kicked me out of my office. But Steve Jobs got rid of Macintosh. There's no Macintosh on the tablet, on the iPad, right? There's no drop-down menus. And they just were unwilling to get rid of it because the Windows team ran the company.
They're afraid. They're afraid of losing. And in the end, they lose. They lose.
Yeah,
it's losing.
I mean, Microsoft had a tablet PC 9 years, or maybe even longer. I sold tablet PCs 9 years before the iPad did, and they look like iPads, right? I sold a 1/4 inch thick NEC tablet that you could touch on the surface, and it worked basically like an iPad. 9 years before iPad comes out, but it had Windows. It had a shitty OS for what it was doing, right? And they just weren't willing to get rid of the OS. When Steve Jobs came out, he said, no, the Macintosh OS is not going to ship on the iPad. And you're not even going to be able to write multi-threaded code, which is a software term. But Windows, all of our developers need to be able to run multi-threaded code so that they can run multiple things at the same time. Well, that's rocket science. That's really hard programming to do. And they never did it right. And it always wasted the battery and heated up the device. And Steve Jobs is like, no, we're not going to do that. We're just not going to have multi-threaded code. Too bad. Developers, sit down, shut up. Right?
Steve Jobs. It was just his long live Steve Jobs, man.
But see, this is the advantage of having a dictator as running your company. That's not a committee. And a single human being can create art, right? Have you ever seen art created by a committee? I've never seen art created.
Collaboration. Let's talk about collaboration. Hold on a minute. A dictator.
No, there's collaboration, but that getting smoking some weed and being creative together.
Yeah, a committee is stuck to rules. I know they're stuck to rules. They're stuck to law. They're stuck to, of course, just things being just. Make sure there's justice. That things are justified. But yeah, the pencil pushing, notebook fairing, maniacal committee. So, okay, that's it. This show is the end of committees, guys. If you have a committee and your business isn't growing, take it from this amazing human being, Robert Scoble, my guest today on AiTAINMENT, Season 2, Episode 1. Thank you for being here today, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Tesla's dream of things unseen. Digit 3 insist that Y exists when it's stable rate. Is your storage crate in the garbage bin? And X again. or the heating duct, a cyber truck. There's a weary auto label, see autos in its stable. One more mirage in your one-car garage. Its invisible friend, is it just pretend? Hey, green the only, are our Teslas lonely? We need to find what's in their mind. Dr. Know-It-All, please make the call. Is the FSD chip looking for companionship? We may never know, say for Dojo. We'll soon take a backseat in our well-known taxis, so we'll miss silicone stranger. We're just all in danger as it runs about on another route looking for its soulmate. Just past the next toll gate, its attention diverted, thoughts more perverted. Will it stick to its scheme as it starts to daydream? Should we take a strong stance against this pending romance? Dread not disillusion, for it's human delusion. One more deception from human projection. This general net is clearly not wet, nor even sentient, despite human sentiment and give intent to things we invent. It's pure paranoia, born of pareidolia. Our gift of abstraction is behind this distraction. When we comprehend our souls, we will lend to objects inert, nor even alert. Don't ascribe intelligence to mechanical elegance. Can't have a thought, it's only a bot. Worry for naught of an AI onslaught. Fear not what you're taught, or is there a bug? Because Tesla's dream is on